This is it. We're live.
Good. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Welcome to this episode of the Note Closer Show. We have our good friend and very, very good note investor, the man, the myth, the Indiana hotshot legend, Gene Chandler. What's going on, my friend? How you doing this morning?
Hi, everybody. I'm just hanging in there, man. I'm just hanging in there. Talk to me.
First of all, Gene, you've been an active note investor for quite a while now, right?
Yes.
How many years?
I think about 6 now.
It's about 6. Yeah, that's about right. I think it's about right. We've known each other for a while.
I mean, I dabbled with it for a while.
Mm-hmm. But you've transitioned where you're almost completely full-time. Now your job that you had before is more kind of a hobby thing that you do on the side, though, for the most part, right? Yeah.
So my insurance paid.
Insurance paid. It's always a good thing, yes. So we got a lot of people watching out here. Listen to this. Gene, you've done a tremendous job of turning a hobby into your income, and then your work taking a back step, being more so your hobby now on that. Now, why don't you share with people where you're from, kind of what your focus and your kind of your business model is?
Well, I'm from Elkhart, Indiana, and that's the northern part of the state, right in the middle. My business model is basically single-family homes, vacant and non-vacant, vacant and occupied, and it all depends on the area. I mean, I buy vacant in some areas and other areas where you can buy a vacant where you can turn it over quick. I don't. It's like, well, they can just. I'm not interested in that. At first, I used to really be interested in those, and now I've kind of transitioned out and thinking, no, I can wait a little longer and do a little better if I go and just be patient. And with the occupieds, of course, they're going to be something that takes a little longer to do. I've had them for as much as 30 months before they finally got everything rolling, but I did very, very well. I think the last one I ended up with 64,000 and I had 11.5 in it.
That's phenomenal.
Yeah, in 30 months. So if you're looking at stuff like that, if you really look at your numbers, you can be patient and working it out with the borrowers and talking to them. And I really, really try hard to project being nice and kind and to the borrowers and so that we can work some stuff out if possible. If not, to see what we can do to help them out of a situation. There was a young lady that I just did one that she had, it was too much for her. She had bought in a CFD and the property, she had enough money to make the payments and the taxes and insurance, but she didn't have enough money to fix it if it broke. And so things just kept happening, and she thought, it's better for me to just bail. And so she bailed, and I had found somebody else right away that was interested in buying it. She was already gone, and she had been gone since last September, so it's been a while. I got in contact with her, and I offered her $200 to sign off on the land contract. And she said, yeah, that sounds like a fair deal. But she was a little iffy. She wasn't real sure if she wanted to trust me. And that's, which is real super common if you're dealing with the customer. And so I was able to get everything signed, notarized, and gave her the $200 and thanked her. And you could tell that she was a little, it's like, doggone, this is part of her life that there's a little bit of grief there. And, people go through stuff like that. So you got to be sensitive to that and be kind as best you can. And so she thanked me back. So I can only assume that I did okay. Mm-hmm. And then I resold it. I bought it for 82.
8,200?
8,200. It was a double wide. Now, not too many people do double wides. I look at stuff like that. Again, it depends on the area and the land and stuff. And And I figured for 82, I could pop that double wide off there, drag it away. And the land is worth more than that. So I was pretty excited about this one. But I didn't want to rebuild it. The garage roof needed, I mean, literally between the rafters, the garage roof had caved in. So, I mean, it was bad. And the house needed a lot of work. I put the normal sign up in the window. You know, I have found this place vacant. If anybody vandalism, blah, 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 you know, contact this person. I'm not renting it, but I will sell it. And 3 days later, bang. So, I mean, I was in and out of this in 5 weeks. I bought it for 82 and I sold it for 20.
Nice.
Just happened. And so, yeah. So there's stuff like that.
Now, are you buying just in Indiana? I mean, you were very, very cautious, and your full-time profession was a hotshot driver all throughout Indiana and other areas, right?
Yeah.
And let's not forget restoring old cars too is your passion too.
Yeah, I'll be posting one of mine here pretty quick. I got another one.
But that was with the driving all over Indiana and other parts. You drive by a lot of your assets. You actually prefer to drive by most of your assets, right?
Yeah. I've had a couple of times. I've had realtors go and God bless them. I mean, they're wanting to get that listing. They're wanting you to take the property all the way up to where it's real easy for them to sell. You're going to make some money. They're going to make some money, but you know, you've got to balance out whether you buy it low and you put $30,000 in it, so you've got 40 in it, and you could have sold it for 20. You bought it for 8, could have sold it for 20, made 12, and so you put all this extra money in it, and you still only get an extra 12 or 14 after the realtor's fees and stuff like that. I can't justify that stuff. I see that a lot. In our own industry. I'm talking to people, or they'll call me up and they'll ask me some different questions like, I don't know, you know, I think you ought to bail. Well, we're gonna rebuild this, and we're gonna really have something. And the realtor has guaranteed us that, you know, the market's gonna be here when it's all done. And they find out that, you know, they got to sell it for $10,000 less. And you know, basically they could have just turned their money, went it from a C markets to a B or an A market, and they could have done a little bit better with it. So I see a lot of that. I get phone calls from people that are, you know, asking about different things, and you know, I get cornered occasionally about doing multifamily and different commercial and stuff. Do I see it? Yes. The fact is, yes, I do. Do I buy it? No, because right now I'm really focusing in on single family, vacant, and occupied. And I'm choosy on both of those. So you've got to, if you're looking at an occupied property and then you do a search on the borrower and he's a dirtbag and he's moved 57 times, that's not a occupied. That's a vacant. It just hasn't happened yet. You know,
that's exactly.
And you're not going to redo that. You're not going to be able to sell that contract. The guy, you know, he's been in and out of jail, and so that's not necessarily a good occupied property. And who knows what the guy's going to do before he gets out of there. Mm-hmm. So, you know, you've got to look at, you know, like seconds, you really look at your borrowers. First, you still look at your borrowers. You need to do that. You need to look at your borrower, need to find out, you know, a little bit about them. If you've got borrowers that don't move, that, you know, basically they've been at this job or in this area for a long time, and they're just struggling a little bit with their payments, the chances are they're going to catch those back up, especially this time of year. I bought some specifically because of this time of year. People are going to get their tax returns, and then they're going to be able to bail it back out. Bought 3 just a couple of weeks ago, and already been called by our borrower, and he said, look, I had this happen, but how about I pay you $1,000 a week? He's a truck driver. He's a specialty truck driver, so he makes some pretty good money. Mm-hmm. And it's a rental. And I kind of figured that out, I'm thinking the guy's living over here and stuff. So you can look at it like that too. It's occupied, but is it occupied by owner occupied? And but this guy called up. He's got 7 other properties. He wants to keep his property. He had some stuff happen. He said, I'll pay $1,000 a month until I get caught up. I got my tax returns coming back, which is, you know, obvious for this time of year. And I said, sure. You know, I don't have any reason to not do that. To me, that was a cha-ching, you know, and this guy's going to be right back on the program.
Right. Now, what did you pay for that? What did you pay for that? Was it a contract for deed or first lien non-performing note? What'd you pay for it?
Yeah, it was 35 or 36 owed, and I paid 11 for it.
There you go.
So, yeah.
The contract for deed?
Yeah, he's going to end up paying about $4,000 into that right away. So I'm going to be into this for zip. And he's still in it for the 35 because he hasn't been able to make payments for a while and stuff like that. So it catches up to him real quick. Can I discount his loan a little bit? Yes, probably. Am I going to? Probably not. Right. Not for 35. The house is actually worth 50, close to 50 right now. So he's got some room.
Equity there. Yeah.
And so it's like, hey, you know what? Let's just get you back on the road.
Yeah, that's a great point there. Now let's talk about it. You used to just buy in Indiana, and now you've expanded your market a little bit. What are the states that you're buying in now, Gene?
Ohio, Michigan, and Illinois. I got spanked real good in Cook County, and so
I told you.
yeah. It wasn't like you didn't say anything. So I lost $78.50.
Oh gosh!
I hate it when I lose money. I hate it.
Don't even start. I'll tell you what. I'll swap you deals. How's that sound?
Yeah, I would have paid somebody $700 to get out of that deal. You know, like, oh my God,
it took forever, huh? Now let's talk about this. You stick just to Indiana, and you started buying notes, and you would modify, or you keep people in the property, or evict if it was a vacant property. Not evict, but if it's a vacant property, then you turn around and try to flip it really fast there, right?
Yeah.
All right, now let's talk about that. You talked about the double wide. You put a sign in the window and sold it in 3 days. What are you doing on your quick flips? You're wholesaling it, or you're reaching out to local real estate investment clubs? Are you posting on Craigslist? What are you doing?
I'm not posting on Craigslist because I haven't had to, but real estate clubs, I've got wholesalers now. And I just, can I go in and redo them? Yep. I'm trying to buy in emerging markets. That's the other thing. I do like county. A lot of people don't like the county, but I like the county. But again, I'm kind of anal on what I buy.
What county are you talking about, Gene? What county?
I'm talking about rural area in Michigan and Indiana, mainly lower Michigan and Indiana, because I know where the jobs are at. In northern Indiana, this is huge manufacturing. If you live in my area and you don't have a job, there's nothing I can do for you. I mean, we're talking, this is good jobs. We got forklift drivers making $50 an hour.
Wow.
This is serious money up here. And the cost of living isn't insane either. So these guys can make some pretty good money in this area. So now with all that, these little rural areas that have spots of houses, those are bedroom communities. And if you can pinpoint those and have 20-minute, half an hour drive for them to go to a job, then it's probably a touchdown. You know, people like the county. They don't mind the half an hour, 20-minute, 40-minute drive to work every day. I did it for many years. Mm-hmm. And so, drive to another city or something like that. And it's not, we don't have the traffic here that other places do. So, so we don't have the horrible backup like some of the people in California. Holy smokes.
Yeah, exactly. Now let's talk about this, because you mentioned something as we were talking before we started recording about how you have people starting to reach out to you now, you have investors, and talk about, and that was honestly, I'm going to just be honest, at the first part when we first met, raising capital was a bit of a mind block for you. Would you agree to that, Gene? You were using your own funds, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, it still is.
Okay.
It's still one of those things. Yeah. I mean, I can, but here's the thing. I went out and I've got enough history. I thought I wanted to get some history anyway, and I got some history, and I talked to a lot of people, and it's being around a lot of, just going to the events and stuff like that. People walk up and introduce themselves and see what I've got to offer. And so I've been able to not really go out and punch at it, but gain investors out of the fact that I'm turning some numbers. And, you do a small deal with them. I don't like to do the little $10,000 deals unless I know it's pretty safe.
Mm-hmm.
I like to do a little bit more expensive deal, but I've had guys walk up and they offer me $50,000, and we'll do a $50,000 deal and end up selling it for 80 in a 3-4 month period of time. That's pretty good money.
That's really good. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I've been able to turn some numbers, and then they offer me more money after that. So, right now I'm still building my investor base. I'm looking with another person that is another investor to do a fund, and so we're looking at to do a fund, and that'll be pretty good. We're gonna go with, we're gonna try to be in B and A properties, and and there is there as many of those out there? No, but if you need to do, you can do less, and you've got a better pool of assets when you're all said and done. So
right now, let's talk about turning some numbers. You are doing, are you buying 500 assets in a year or 100 assets in a year?
No,
I'm
doing about 3 a month. My average has been about 3 a month right now, and that keeps you busy. There's a lot to them. A lot of times you can take an asset and it runs through pretty smooth, but you start having bumps with 2 or 3 of them in a row. That you've got your hands full, because you've got attorneys, you've got servicers, you've got the borrowers, you've got the figures in front of you. Sometimes the sellers. I had 2 situations where the seller gave me documents that didn't even have the right names on them. And so, Inc. or LLC or number 5 trust or number 4 trust makes a big difference. That's because you've got to start with, this is what you're buying, and this is what it says on the deed. And what it says on the deed is what it's got to say on the assignments and the allonges and the contracts and everything else. And so if there's a separation there, you need to find out why and how you can get your paperwork back up. So it's been, some of the contracts for deeds have been hairy.
Mm-hmm.
Got a lot of hair on them. And so you got to work through that.
Now, are you doing your own workouts, or are you still outsourcing your workouts?
Both.
Okay.
I do. If they call me, I talk to them. And I can understand that some of the people have been a little bit hesitant to do that. I try to be calm. I tell them that, I'm acting as a debt collector, and,
right,
and that ask them if it's okay for me to record the phone conversation. And they always say yes, which is nice. And I record the phone conversation. I've got an app on my phone that, click. And so, and basically, like, when you call me and stuff, I just record it without you knowing it. And then I got that to, slip it in later on. Hey, remember this? I've never recorded our phone calls.
Sure, Gene. Okay. All right, Edgar. All right, Hoover. That's a good point there. You're reaching out to, that's what I want people to get a feel for here.
Yeah, really?
Would you say you've made multiple 6 figures in the 6 years you've done this?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Would you say you're getting close to averaging over 6 figures per year?
Yeah, this year.
Okay. So that's what I want people to realize, is one of the biggest things is You can't get, you're not, and you said this before, and I actually quoted you a few times. This is not a get rich quick business,
No.
right?
No, it's not get rich quick, but it is get rich. And so, that's one of the things that's, to start and to work at it. And I worked at it slow. A lot of people thought I should work out a lot faster. To some of the other people that have been in a situation where I am at, where you lose everything. I lost everything in 2008 and 9. It was and 10. That was tough. Psychologically, it's tough. Emotionally, it's tough. It's really, really rough. And now you're going to be double cautious because you didn't see that one coming. I've been through a lot of downturns, but nothing like that. And so I've been quite cautious and trusted but verified the information that I've learned over the years, and got with other people and developed friendships. And there was a place where I realized that hey, I've got a lot of knowledge. I understand a lot. People are asking me questions. I'm able to answer them rather than go, no. I'm able to actually answer them with some history. And so I thought, probably ought to step up and start pushing a little bit harder. And so that's kind of where I'm at. Been that way for a few months, and just taking those steps. But it takes a little while, and I wanted to have a little bit more knowledge, knew what I wanted to buy, what I didn't want to buy. A lot of people will buy, and I've seen this. I'm thinking, they just bought 5 assets, and they have no idea that is a dragon. So. And some of the stuff that they bought, I'm thinking, really? How many other ones have you bought? Oh, this is our first 5. Well, I'm glad you've got good people around you. That really, really makes, well, you know what? A lot of them are on your sites. And so you've got people talking back and forth and asking good questions and receiving some really good answers. So your sites have been really good for a lot of these newbies. And if they'll just settle down and listen and stuff, they'll do really, really well.
Mm-hmm. How important, you talked about networking and going out to events. How important is attending events or being part of a mastermind helped you out?
It was real important because of I found investors too, other people that were just, people need to put their money someplace, and it's still as true today as it was 5 years ago. And so they want to make money, and they've got, it's really quite astounding that people have these IRAs that they don't do anything with. They've got CDs that make 1%, 0.5% a year, and they want to make more. So part of why they're not doing anything is because they had a downturn also. And so what are you going to do for them that is secured a little bit better than what the normal investment is they can give to, on the stock market? Mm-hmm. And so it's your knowledge compared to their knowledge. So they don't want it. Some of these guys, even though they're I met them in your mastermind. They want to have a feel of it, but they don't want to know it. They don't want to know the business, but they want to know if they can make money in that business. So they've went to your mastermind. They're sitting there with coinage, and they want to know in that room, who can they trust to
do a good job,
make some investments with. And so, and a lot of people have, I've got a YouTube channel now. And so I try to do interviews with different people that is pertinent to our business. Mm-hmm. So I've done 2 with insurance companies, and they're really, really good information, because those are some of the questions that you're going to have is, insurance. When do I buy it? Who do I buy it from? why do I buy it? If I pay for it now and I sell the property in a month, do I get my money back? What kind of, or if something happens, will they pay? And, and that's the other thing. You'll be around, there'll be, a few insurance companies that in the industry, and some of them won't pay. So, big deal. I mean, it's just really, really difficult. So I want to, got it boiled down to where who pays and who answers customers' questions. So same thing with attorneys. I mean, I went through a number of different attorneys, and some you sync with, and some you don't. And it's okay. As everybody understands that. Look, if you don't like working with a guy because you don't like his personality, work with somebody else. Let him finish the job if you feel that's good and you can handle that. But if you just don't like this guy at all, find out somebody else and move on. And again, that your site and masterminds and all that stuff really helps all of that stuff, because you can get a lot of leads.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of leads. It's well worth the money just because of the leads.
Mm-hmm. That's the truth. That's the beautiful thing I love about when we have our mastermind events is people come there to learn. They also come there to network. And we have people that are coming there to invest more so, and to find people, joint venture partners, or funding people to find deals that they can fund and do splits on. Now, are we going to see you here in a couple of weeks in Cape Coral?
I don't know. Maybe.
You don't know? We got to get you down to sunny Cape Coral. You know how that place goes.
I do. I like that. That was actually the best one. I like that one the best out of all of them.
Well, we're back at the same place this time a year again. And Steph better give me a phone call. So anyway, let's talk about. So you bought some assets. I think your model has changed a little bit, because you were a fix and flipper for the most part for a while in the front. You bought some stuff that you flip. Now you've gone to the cash flow, like you said when we first started the episode here, about how you had a lot. You don't mind having stuff hanging around for 12, 24, 30 months because they're paying you on time, right, Gene?
Yeah.
And then what happened with the ones that drag out? Is it they get refinanced out? They sell the house off? You sell the note off? What's been your exit strategy for that longer term play?
Well, I just let it sit and make me mailbox money, yet it's for sale. And so, because I'm trying to build my capital and turn it over. Well, if I bought it, at 35, 45, 50%, and I can turn it over for 80%, after I've taken the payments, which ends up being, for heaven's sakes,
a good yield anyway.
Yeah, super good yield after you let it set. But patience, again, this is get rich, but it's not get rich quick.
Mm-hmm.
So patience is a lot. Long term, you're going to have to look at a lot of stuff that, if this makes me $300 a month for X amount of time, if you're going to take, if you want out of it before you sell it, and you're making $300 a month, then, and you bought it for $7,000, 2 years, it's not unreasonable to think that, well, I can't do that with the deals that I'm looking at. Then look at some other deals.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of deals, Cody Cox says good morning, and this should be a good episode, but he asked a question.
Hey, Cody. Hi, buddy.
He says, where do you, Gene, source your products generally? Not specific, you don't have to give names, but where are you sourcing your deals?
Wow.
Is it hedge funds, private sellers?
Yeah, private sellers and hedge funds. I haven't been able to break any banks.
Okay.
So I've considered, and I've actually even talked to attorneys about it, to get a license in Kentucky, and then I can buy directly from the banks in Kentucky. So because you can't do that because of state law in Kentucky, they've got more assets available that somebody like a fund or something can walk in and do that. It's another reason why we're trying to put that fund together. And I can walk in and just deal with the bank directly. Mm-hmm. So, of course, right now the banks are, they'll take them to REO and sell them because the market's now recovered for the most part, and they can get their money back out of it. So some of the banks that are still struggling, that have made some bad moves, you can buy from, you can buy their pools, but I haven't been able to put enough together to be able to do that with the banks. But anyway.
One of the beautiful things you're getting lists, though, your market has grown enough that you see enough on the list that you're pulling from hedge funds and private sellers.
Yes.
Feed your appetite of 2 to 3 months, especially since you're doing. I'm willing to bet you're doing some of the workouts, and then the other ones that get more difficult, you throw that to your servicer or your attorneys to handle. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Great. That's good stuff. Now, the question people are probably going to ask is like, "Oh, what do you say? Aren't you intimidated about when people call you? Does Indiana have any weird laws for stuff like that?"
Yeah, I can't say things like, "Give me your money, fool." Bring it.
Well, you could if you're buying in Gary, though, right?
Yeah. You know what? I don't do Gary, but there's a huge market over there. And I've just now got to the point to where I'm thinking, okay, I've got a number of different sellers that, hey, we got a lot of Gary property. Can you at least go look at them? Like, yeah, okay. So I think I'm going to take a couple of days and drive around Gary. It's about an hour and a half away from me. And
it's changed a lot since, was it 3 years ago that you and I were on that road show down there with Mark Gold, and I walked around the corner and talked to that homeowner and got shot at.
Yeah, and then the house we were looking at ended up being back on FCI for $1,000.
Hey, can you tell me about this house? Yeah, fool, man.
What you mean? What you talking about?
Oh, the fun stories we have. Because, yeah, basically for 3 days, Gene and I and about 12 other people and staff drove around Indiana and parts of Chicago area looking at assets and stuff like that. And we had a good time, right? That's what we did. We might need to bring that back up again. Maybe do it I Survived Gary, Indiana t-shirt. I survived the Gary, Indiana Roadshow.
Yeah, really.
Now, let's talk about, because Indiana, you brought this up to me. You educated me on this, that when you have a tax sale in Indiana, it's a little bit different rules as far as collecting the tax overage than other states. You want to talk about the difference in Indiana about that?
Well, I don't know what the difference is because I only know Indiana, but now you want to talk about the overage?
Yeah, if there's a tax overage, you've informed me that it's not always the first lien holder that can claim it. It's the first person that comes to claim it. Is that correct in Indiana?
Yes.
That's what I'm trying to get at. Yeah.
That's where you're at. Yeah, the homeowner actually can go back and get it. Now, the homeowner can't bid at the tax sale. They're not allowed to do that. But they can go back and claim the overage. So what you've got to do is kind of what we call put a brick on it, is you're going to take, as the lender, you're going to inform the judicial system that there is a mortgage on it, and the mortgager has first right. If they don't claim it, if they screw up and don't claim it, and the borrower comes in and says, "Hey, I want this overage," they're toast. So you got to jump on that. You got to jump on it. You got to be on it. You got to make sure that, and you will get notified.
If the assignments and everything's filed, you will get notified.
Correct. Yes. If you went down and filed all your assignments and stuff like that, you're going to get notified. And so you can't just say, "Dude, I didn't know," because yes, you did.
Is there a time frame to let the courts know about that tax overage situation that you're the lien holder on that?
You know what? I don't know. I know it's I do right away. So I don't know what other people do. I think there's 3-month window, but
there's some sort of window. That's what I'm trying to get at. It's not.
The court isn't going to see the court's going to look at everything.
Mm-hmm.
So within that window of time, you need to get your stuff submitted. And it's kind of, I don't trust that window altogether. So because I haven't had to deal with it. So it's just, I'm right. I'm on it. The day after, I'm putting a brick on that thing.
So that's what I'm trying to get. Usually within the first week, you got to get that done. If you are going to use a tax foreclosure to help you with a constructive foreclosure, because I know I've done that in some states before where we're like, listen, we're just going to bid up the tax foreclosure to clean out the title, or we don't want to deal with it. I did that just recently in a Houston asset. I know it's going to go to tax foreclosure. It's going to go a lot more than what I've owed on it or what the taxes are owed on it. It just makes more sense. It's in a pain in the ass area. I've had somebody move into the house illegally 3 times after we've evicted them 3 times. Yeah. Yeah, it's not a fun time. So, but that's the thing. If you're going to use it, that's one thing about Indiana. It's a little bit different than most. Is that the homeowner can go claim it pretty quickly if they don't. The judge or the court system in most states will send it out. Notice and hold on to it for 12 months before anybody can claim it.
They won't do it in Indiana.
Huh? I know, not in Indiana, right?
Yeah,
it's a big thing to do.
And
Steph says hello.
The second mortgage company can go after it too. So you've got to be up there, and you got to prove to them that you're in first position.
Mm-hmm. So that's pretty easy to prove with an affidavit and a copy of the assignments and copy the lien. That's not hard to do, and we do it all the time. Right. We got somebody definitely. What are on Indiana? We had Jason Lucchese on here a couple days ago. Is fix and flips and stuff like that. You with the note business there, and when you go to evict, does Indiana have some faster eviction laws than other states for the most part?
They do. It's pretty quick. I haven't had to do anything in Indiana for a long time, but it used to be 23 days plus the 10-day waiting period and whatever. So it's pretty fast. If you've got an attorney that's on top of it, you can get stuff submitted quick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think Do It was telling me stuff can be done in roughly 14 days for the most part.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Maybe it's changed. Yeah, maybe it's changed, but you can do it pretty quick. Now
that's a whole lot faster than Cook County, though, right, Gene?
Oh my God, he wanted $10,400 to move. Like what?
Oh, good times. What is if you had a deal that you really enjoy? If you had your bread and butter deal, describe it, Gene. What's your bread and butter deal look like to you? What do you really get excited about? Gets you out of bed in the morning?
Like the one that I just did. Buy that puppy, and knowing that I should be able to turn it over pretty quick, and I sold it. Bought it for 82 and sold it for 20 in 5 weeks. And the only reason why it took me 5 weeks is because I didn't have time to get up there, And so once I got my sign in the window, it was quick. So I had went up there prior to and reviewed the property, did the numbers on it, and then went back. So, and I've actually done a few of those.
And that asset was how far from your house in Elkhart?
I'm sorry?
How far was it, that property away, that double wide away from your house? No,
it's about 45 minutes from here.
Okay.
Into Michigan. It was in Michigan.
That's right.
So Michigan hasn't been, I'm sure certain counties, but Michigan hasn't been too bad to deal with.
Relatively fast foreclosures. You get values that are appreciating in Michigan for the most part.
Yes.
Now, the nice thing about what you've got going too, you don't mind doing stuff out in the country, a little bit outside of town. Most people avoid those areas, but you're buying primarily in that 2.5 hour radius around where you're located. There's plenty of inventory there, right?
Yes. Yeah, I actually try to stay within 300 miles. So that's my little radius.
Mm-hmm. That's a benefit for stuff like that, because
150 out.
150 out, exactly. Yeah, 300 square miles, basically. That's here in Texas. That still gets me to Houston or Dallas. I'm still not buying anything here.
I know. Talk about
how many notes do you think you've given? Keep a tally. How many notes you've bought since you started 6 years ago?
I don't know.
You up over 100 now?
Oh no, I haven't quite crested the 100 yet.
You're over the 50 mark, though.
I have a party with balloons and when I've done it, but I've not done quite 100. And I've only started buying 3 a month. I tried to buy one a month last year, and just couldn't put it together for whatever reason. So I bought, I don't know, half dozen, and then this year I'm buying 3 a month, and it's been, give and take, where I've been buying small pools and stuff. So 25.
25. You bought more than 25.
maybe. I'd have to go back down through the files.
But that's the thing is, though, that number, whatever the number is replacing what you were making as a hotshot driver, though, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what part of it was. What I wanted to do was build it up to where we were replacing the income.
Mm-hmm.
Where, my wife and I sat down and said, okay, well, this is what we need to replace the income because we like our lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
So it's basically Dan Zakowski talks about, lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
It's not necessarily making money. It's making a lifestyle, making time. And so that's kind of, I thought that's pretty good, Dan. So
yeah, Dan has a tendency to make sense every once in a while, right?
Yeah. So I like to have a little bit more time. So
can people reach out to you if they have any questions, Dan? I mean, Gene?
Bill?
Bill, yeah, exactly, right.
Yeah, they can reach out to me.
Cool.
So
what's your website?
My website is chandlerfinn.com. My YouTube channel is Chandler Finn on YouTube. And that's ChandlerFin. And my email address is gene@chandlerfin.com.
It's awesome. Gene, Gene at chandlerfin.com there, everybody. Gene, thank you so much for joining us here on the Note Closer Show. It's good to see you, man. We got to hook that up. It's been since
we kind of cross paths everywhere.
I know. You're one side of the nation. I'm on the other side, or vice versa. Might need to have you fly down here to Austin. You better get your ass to Cape Coral. Steph, better call Gene right now to help him out with that. Trust me, it'll be a lot warmer in Cape Coral than it will be up in Indiana, all right?
Yeah, truthfully. I got up this morning, it was 26 degrees.
I'm wearing shorts and a workout shirt, man.
I like Texas anyway.
Hey, amen to that. Well, hey, Gene, you guys, you take care. We'll talk to you here before too long. Thank you for joining us once again, guys. If you have questions or may have a deal for Gene up around the northern Indiana part of the state there, up at Elkhart, South Bend area, he's your man. He's the man, the myth, the legend, the Indiana hotshot note legend, as we like to call him, Gene Chandler, bud. So, hey, Gene, take care. Give your best to our wife, and we'll see you later at the top. All right, bud?
All right, man.
Thanks,
God
bud.
bless.
Bless to you too, man. All right, guys, that's going to wrap up for this episode. If you love what you're hearing and you're listening on iTunes and Stitcher and all those, make sure to leave a review. If you're watching this on Facebook, hey, love for you to share it. If you're watching this on YouTube or Vimeo, make sure to like it and or share it as well. So once again, have a great day. Go out and make something happen. And once again, we'll see you all at the top, everybody. Bye.